Hi, welcome back to the Reset Room, the space where we unlearn old habits and relearn how to come home to ourselves. I'm SO, and today we're doing something bold. We're learning how to say no, draw a line, and honor ourselves without over explaining a single thing. This is the Reset Room. I'll just say this right out of the gate. You don't owe anyone a dissertation on your no. You know that moment right after you say no, and then you panic. So you rush to explain, then over explain, then overthink your explanation. Yeah, me too. It sounds something like this. I won't be coming because uh, I've been tired and work's been so much and I didn't sleep, and it's not that I don't want to, it's just, and you begin to spiral. That's spiraling. And they didn't even ask you for all of that explanation. Today, we're putting a stop to that spiral. In this episode, I'm going to show you exactly how to set boundaries without over explaining, defending, or doubting yourself. We're going to reclaim clarity, confidence, and calm. So let's get into it. Before we talk about how to stop over-explaining, we have to understand why we do it in the first place. And here's the truth. Over-explaining is often a trauma response. It comes from people-pleasing, perfectionism, and fear of rejection. Do you remember our series on overthinking? Yeah. See, we think if I give enough reasons, they won't get upset. If I justify myself, they won't think I'm selfish. If I explain thoroughly, maybe I'll still be liked or approved of. But here's the reality. People who respect you don't need lengthy explanations. And people who don't respect you, well, will never find your reasons good enough anyway. Let that sink in for a moment. You're not explaining for them. You're explaining because you're uncomfortable with your own boundary. And let that land also. So the real work is becoming comfortable with honoring your needs, even when others might not understand. And how do we do that? You can't set a strong boundary if you are unsure of it yourself. Before you open your mouth, check in with yourself. And when you're clear on your why, you don't need to say it, you embody it. It's like the difference between whispering, I think I'm not okay with that, versus calmly stating, that doesn't work for me. So before you speak a boundary out loud, speak it to yourself. Why? Because a shaky no often comes from an unclear yes. Over-explaining usually rushes in when your inner clarity is still missing. And because half the stress of boundary setting doesn't come from what you say, but from not being clear on why you're saying it. So why does getting clear really matter? It matters because when you rush into a boundary conversation without checking in with yourself first, you're more likely to second-guess your words, to apologize unnecessarily, to get emotionally hijacked in the moment, or say something you don't fully mean, or begin to over-explain to fill the silence you weren't prepared for. But when you take a moment to clarify your need, your why, and your limit, you step into the conversation grounded. And grounded people communicate calmly, not because they are cold or detached, but because they are rooted in self-trust. So how do you get clear? Here's a coaching process you could try. Number 1, pause. Even 30 seconds of stillness can shift everything. Go internal before you go external. Number 2, ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? What do I need in this moment? What is this situation costing me emotionally, energetically, or practically? What would honor me here? Number 3, write it down and say it out loud. This helps regulate your nervous system and move you from emotional reactivity to empowered communication. For example, instead of just blurting out, "I just can't do this anymore. You always ask me last minute." You pause, breathe, and clarify. "I need more notice before I commit to something." That helps me honor my time and avoid feeling overwhelmed. Can we see the difference? It's the same boundary, but delivered from clarity instead of chaos. Here's some coaching reflections that you should note down to help you become clear internally. When I'm clear with myself, I don't need to convince anyone else. Grounded boundaries don't need permission. They just need clarity. Keep those two phrases, those two sentences. Reflect on these often as you build that mental muscle of inner clarity. And here is something for personal reflection. There was a time I said yes to things that didn't sit right with me, but I didn't realize until after I'd committed, after I was exhausted, after I'd spent 3 days resenting the entire situation. But now I pause. I literally say to myself, "Do you actually want to do this? Or are you afraid of what they'll think if you don't?" See, that pause, that honesty, that's the real boundary. So here's my final takeaway. Getting clear before you speak is an act of self-respect. It tells your inner world, "I'm listening to you first." And when you do that, you don't just speak more powerfully, you live more truthfully. Your grounded energy says everything, even when your words are few, because clarity creates calm. So, the next step is to communicate your boundary in a simple, direct, and respectful way. Here are some examples. "I won't be able to make it. That's not something I'm comfortable with. I'm not available for that. No, thank you." That's it. No apologies, no backstory, no shrinking, just clear language and a calm tone. Now, here's a tip. Don't invite negotiation with your body language. If you look anxious, hesitate, or trail off at the end, it creates space for pushback. Practice saying your boundary in the mirror. Say it in the shower. Say it until your nervous system gets the memo that we are safe to say no. Step 3. Hold your peace. This is the part no one teaches you. Once you set a boundary, pause. Say the thing. Then stop talking. And yes, it will feel awkward at first. You'll want to fill the space. You will want to soften the edge, and you will want to explain again. But silence is your ally. It says, "This is not up for debate." Here's a coaching mantra for your reflection. Write this down. My boundary does not require mutual agreement, only personal clarity. See, that silence gives the other person space to adjust and gives you space to anchor. Step 4. Sit with the discomfort, not the guilt. Let's talk about this part of boundary setting no one prepares you for. That aftershock moment. You set a boundary, you say the thing, you choose yourself, and then the guilt creeps in. That old familiar voice whispers, "Maybe I was too harsh. What if they're upset? Did I just ruin the relationship?" So this is discomfort. This is the emotional withdrawal from a lifetime of people pleasing. And here is the truth. It's normal, but it's not a reason to retreat. There are emotions attached to boundary setting because setting boundaries will trigger feelings. You might feel guilt, doubt, anxiety, shame. That's all normal. It's not a red flag. It's a growing pain. The goal here is not to feel 100% confident every time you say no. The goal is to feel the discomfort and still honor yourself. Because discomfort is temporary, but self-betrayal, that lasts longer. So let yourself feel the guilt, but don't act from it. Let's discuss why discomfort happens. Most of us weren't raised to believe certain boundaries were safe. We were raised to believe approval was safety. So when we choose our peace over their comfort, our nervous system rings the alarm. That guilt, it's not a sign you did something wrong. It's a sign you're doing something different. You're stepping out of the role you were cast in, the helper, the fixer, the easy one, the always available friend. That's why it feels shaky. But that shakiness, that's freedom being born. Consequently, here's what sitting with discomfort doesn't mean. It doesn't mean that you ignore your feelings or that you pretend you don't care. It means you don't let guilt make your next decision. So when discomfort shows up, try this. Name it. Ground yourself in your why. Offer compassion, not permission. You can write down some of these coaching mantras that I use and share with my clients. Discomfort is temporary. Self-betrayal lasts longer. I can hold guilt without handing it the mic. I'm not responsible for managing other people's feelings. I'm responsible for staying in alignment with my truth. So what happens when you stop giving guilt the final word? You start to build emotional resilience. You trust your decisions a lot more. You stop negotiating with your worth. And you realize that the world doesn't fall apart when you choose yourself. It gets quieter. It gets clearer. It gets realer. Here's my final coaching reminder for you today. You are allowed to feel guilt without letting it guide you. You are allowed to feel discomfort without retreating. You're allowed to grow, even if it makes others uncomfortable. And that, my friend, is the beginning of emotional freedom. You can repeat this after me if you can. I am not responsible for managing other people's reactions to my boundaries. You can be kind and firm. You can be loving and clear. You can be a good person and still say no. Here's your reset for today. You are allowed to take up space. You're allowed to set limits. You're allowed to honor yourself without a justification tool. Your no is enough. Your I can't is enough. Your that doesn't work for me is enough. The next time you feel that urge to overexplain, pause and ask yourself, am I trying to soothe them or am I abandoning myself? So choose peace, not permission. Choose self-trust, not validation. And remember this, you are not unkind for having a boundary. You're becoming the kind of person who protects what matters most. You. Okay, thank you for joining me in the reset room today. If this episode gave you that gentle nudge you needed, please like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and share it with someone who's learning to honor their boundaries too. In the comments, please share what's one thing you no longer feel the need to explain. In the next episode, we will be diving into when people don't respect your boundaries, what to do then. So please, again, click on the bell icon to get notified when this comes out. Until next time, stand tall in your truth, soften into your self-worth, and remember, you are your first home. This is the Reset Room, and I'm glad you're here. See you on the next one.